Welcome to Corporate Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Sam Bracamontes. Today, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Giuseppe. Giuseppe, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Sam.
Giuseppe Gonzalez.
I'm shaking off the jitters right now. Let's just get this going. Okay.
Giuseppe, I wanted to start this podcast by sharing my appreciation for your honesty and you being a genuine human being, right? I think that more people, and I mean that more of us should strive to be as genuine as you are, as professional as you are. And honestly, I mean, I think overall, there's some sort of negativity, that lies within that, happens within all of us. But I mean, I think you're a role model for the trade. Listen, we can edit this, but no, I think you're a role model for others to try to mimic, right? And the positive, the learnings, your growth, and your positivity towards it all. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself, share a little bit about, your background, your journey, and how you ended, in where you currently are.
My name is Giuseppe Gonzalez. I currently work at Mach 32. I just moved to Vegas about 2 years ago. Originally from New York. God, man, it's just like when you start talking about yourself in this way, it's like freaking 24 years of fucking bullshit, I'm a bartender from New York. I've been lucky enough to work with some really great people. I've worked for some industry legends. I would think they have already a solid legacy, you know what I mean? But they're still alive and working. So your legacy is not done until you're done. So
true.
Jumping back to what you said before about role model, it always makes me uncomfortable when people say that because I'm and I'm not even, it's not even fake humility. If anything, I think everybody, struggles in this business, and I've just made my struggle a little bit more apparent. So okay.
Which is something for us to learn from, because again, the whole concept of this podcast is, how do I share my challenge with others to help those that are coming after us understand that this is not a, all glitz and glamour. I'm sorry. This is true life that we're living.
I think I'm just trying to make clear is that there's not this, innate sense of benevolence here working. I'm not doing this for other people. I do this because when I help people, it helps me maintain my sobriety, helps me keep focus, helps me not make the same mistakes. A lot of the things one of my biggest problems, especially when I used to drink and I used to party and wasn't really finding balance in my life, was just having a sense of empathy for others.
Okay.
Especially yourself. And I find that when I help people, or when I'm communicating with people that are struggling, or I'm just listening, sometimes it's just answer a fucking phone call. It reminds me, so there's always that little fucking voice in your head, that's always I wasn't that bad. I can do it again, and then you talk to somebody who's just in the, either knee deep in shit, or they're just starting to feel the struggles, and then all right. And then you're yeah, I can't do that again.
Right.
I'm not, this is how it starts. It's a weird sense of paranoia,
I mean, self-awareness in a sense.
Yeah. I treat, not a lot of people know this, but I'm a type 1 diabetic. And I have to basically test my blood sugar several times a day. It fucks up the way I eat, especially when I'm working long shifts.
Right.
5 injections a day, for years. So that requires a certain degree of discipline.
Yeah.
But the discipline I don't want to say it's discipline, it's necessity. And I treat my recovery the same way, where I'm just all right, today I need to wake up and I need to get out of bed. And the first thing I do is I make my bed. And the second I make my bed, I don't go back into bed.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that if I don't make my bed or get out, I will spend all day there. Right. I will spend all day. And then it just becomes a vicious cycle where it's like, okay, then I start canceling meetings, and then I don't work out, and then I don't eat right. And then it's like, it's just this whole, that I just ruined everything. So just like little rituals that you fucking follow that kind of help you out, like things like that.
So let me ask you.
It's crazy, but like it helps me.
You know, I think it's also true for bad habits starting in anybody's life. Again, you know, we're looking to educate the bartenders that are following behind us, the alcohol suppliers that are following behind us. And I think that, to your point, I mean, a bad habit or something that could possibly ruin your life starts with, you know, you creating little bad habits.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't have a degree in any of this. I do know that when we're drinking, we're not making the best decisions all the time. If anything, you're more likely to not be making good decisions. You know, and the dangerous thing about our profession is that it's not like we're civilians. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, we're going to go out to dinner today. Or maybe even if you go 2-3 times a week, a glass of wine here and there. Right. Literally, I have the most expensive, best shit right behind me within inches every fucking day. And I'm surrounded by people who will give it to me for free. Right. And I can go to events where I can drink it for free. And like, you know, it's constant. It's like, it's on top of you, you know? And then of course there's the pressure that like, if you do take it light, you know, like what are others going to say? And then like, you know, like even if like there's not that pressure, like they're telling you drink, you know what I mean? You're at an event, it's like, all right, 1 or 2. And then eventually, you know, it becomes more. And then like there are several events a month. And then eventually you're working gigs. And then, you know, it just evolves where it's just like, yo, like it's hard. It's hard. You're not living a normal life. Right. You know, this is not normal. No. I mean, there are people that obviously struggle with alcoholism or any kind of recovery or any kind of addiction, you know, who, you know, aren't surrounded by booze all the time. Right. We are. Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's like there's a lion, you know, like you're in bed and there's a lion next to you, and one day that lion's gonna fucking eat you. Right. You know, if you're not careful. If you're not paying attention. So like
listen, everything that you just said is the reason why I wanted to have you on board.
Because I'm a great fuck up and I love talking about it.
No, because I wanted, first let's go back, right? Let's talk about your accolades. Let's talk about what you've accomplished. And listen, you know, it's not about being humble. It's how do if someone out there listening to the podcast doesn't know who Giuseppe Gonzalez is, who is Giuseppe Gonzalez?
Man, I've won a few things. I've been lucky enough to own a few bars. I've been lucky enough to...
Which bars? Do you mind?
My first bar was a bar called Painkiller in New York. It was a tiki bar. My second bar, I was there a week. It was called Golden Cadillac. My third bar was Suffolk Arms. I've also been lucky to work in some of the best bars. I've worked at Flatiron Lounge, Clover Club, Pegu Club. Dutch Kills, Mother's Ruin, a few good places. I've been lucky.
And for those of you listening, I mean, these are legendary places within our community.
I'm just a bartender, man. Just a bartender.
So you
really good people. I've been lucky enough to be around, like, you know, some really, you know, like, you know, really bad people. But like that's minuscule. I think in every job you always work with somebody who sucks, right? You know, but like my percentage of people that suck to people that are incredible, that I admire is like maybe like 99 to 1%. Wow.
At what age do you start bartending, or you know, come to the hospitality side of the business?
That's a complicated answer because like I used to work with my dad. Let me correct myself. I used to work with my grandfather. I refer to my grandfather as my dad because my grandfather raised me. I used to work with my grandfather, since I was like 5 years old. Actually used to be a shampoo boy for my mom too. So I actually had the beauty of working in salons and bars as a young child. Either doing dishes or hearing Puerto Rican women talk about their husbands, you know, while I'm mopping, you know, sweeping up hair all day. So in the business, hospitality, I think anybody that works with has a parent that's in hospitality. It's like you don't even think of it as work. Just like, yo, you got help.
Right.
You're not sitting on your ass all day.
Yeah, that's true.
But professionally, God, say 18. Hospitality, bar backing, doing all that shit. Professionally, 21 years old.
Okay.
21, I'm 40, 23 years.
Wow.
Professionally as a bartender.
Wow.
Hospitality a little longer, but.
Yeah. So, aside from obviously that natural transgression from, like you said, especially coming from a minority sort of family, right? Like, I think like, whenever you can pick up a broom, you got a task, right? That's just how it works.
I like that broom analogy. Like when people were like having their brooms stand, I was like, you never fucking swept in your life? Of course they stand. Like I just started laughing. I was like, come on, you fucking, remember that?
Yeah.
It's like the broom challenge. Oh my God, NASA said it just like, you motherfuckers never swept seriously. A thing in your fucking life, you idiots.
That's how you know.
I'm sorry. I digress. There are going to be a lot of tangents today,
that's all right.
Sam.
I like it. So what was it that drew you on to that? Again, aside from that natural transgression from what you did when you worked with your grandfather, what was it that drew you into the bar business specifically?
Real talk. I had no desire to ever work in hospitality. I fucking hated it. I saw like, my father, not my grandfather, my actual father, was an addict and he also bartended. I saw all the bullshit, you know what I mean, that comes with like owning a business and dealing with all the stress and like it's like all picking up deliveries and kicking people out and then seeing people, you know what I mean, not be their best selves, like at a young age, you know what I mean, when you're like, maybe 13, 14 and you see somebody, at the bar who is basically spending their entire rent check there. You know what I mean? There's and it's heartbreaking, you know, to see things like that as a kid. And I had no desire to do it. It was basically, I did it for money. I was good at it. I had more experience than all my homies, like anybody at my age, my first job was at this bar called Stella's in upstate New York. Okay. And I started off bar backing and I was just kicking their asses because just like none of these Ivy League kids knew how to fucking work a dishwasher. You know what I mean? Yeah. None of them knew how to fucking restock a bar. None of them knew how to fucking clear or move. They didn't know how to move fast. Where it's like, there are things you learn in hospitality that you realize just like, holy shit, like this is really like, you'll be at home and just say behind.
Yeah, for sure. I still do that.
Corner. Yeah. Shit like that.
Yeah. My wife makes fun of me for that because she's like, we're not at fucking work. And I'm like, well, you still want to know that.
You still want to know that you could turn around. Like, what the hell? I have glass in my hand. Chill, girl. But things like, like it wasn't like it was easy pickings there. So that was like my first job. And when you're in college and like you're working minimum wage as opposed to bar backing where I was making, an easy $40, $50 a night. I was fucking rich. You know, like back, it was like 1996, 97, whatever. And there were parts of me that loved it. You know what I mean? Like it was cool. Like it was the first time, you know what I mean? You get to meet new people and work outside the environment. And then like, I always was socially awkward. Like I didn't drink. I didn't really drink until maybe I was like late 20s. Okay. Like, I never really fucking.
Not really into it, not drawn to it. Like what was it?
That's a loaded question. Like when you grow up in the hood, and you see junkies everywhere and addicts everywhere, and your father dies from addiction. Right. You know what I mean? You have a very clear view of like where, like there was like, I don't have the excuse of not knowing exactly what happens when you don't keep it in check. Right. I just reached a point where I didn't give a fuck anymore. Right. But like, as a young kid, I was just like, yeah, man, like, fuck that. Like, not me.
For sure.
I'm like, keep those people away from me. I never identified with them, like I was like, get away, like, those crackheads, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really see them as like people that were sick. I saw them as people, you know what I mean, I didn't want to be associated with. And
that's natural, I feel like. I mean, you know, having it take so much from you, right? Like, of course, that's natural.
So, like, I always really kept it in check. I mean, like, obviously in college, you know, I got drunk a few times, but it wasn't like every fucking day.
Right.
And I would see people, you know what I mean, fuck with blow and all this other shit. And I was like, yeah, nah, like, you know what I mean? I saw Scarface. That's not me, man. you know? Yeah. And then it just evolved where it was just like, you know, it's just really like, you know, like I got older, you know, me and my family separate, me and my lady separated, my father passed away. And then there's at one point I was just like, you know, and I was in New York and I was finally moving up. And with that success, I wouldn't call it success, but with that recognition that you think is success, you know what I mean? You want to be the life of the party. And I just always felt more comfortable when I was drinking and whatnot, just because like if people ever fucking know me, you know, like they know for a fact that like I hate large groups of people and I hate talking in public and I hate fucking strangers, you know what I mean, running up, you know, asking me about shit. The only like when I'm behind the bar, it's almost a role where I become comfortable.
Of course.
You know, like people expect something and that interaction isn't fake. They need something from me and I can get it and we can connect there.
Right.
You know, as we're just like.
I also think that we see the bar as like there's this protection between myself and the guest, right? Like it's a show in a sense, but to your point, I mean, you know, and I know, I've known, you know, a few friends on the supplier side that are not public speakers that were great bartenders and, you know, are working through that now. And, you know, that's what they say. They're like, I'm like, dude, but you were so like gracious behind the bar. Like, dude, don't be, and that's exactly what they say. They're like, dude, let's, you know, as crazy as it seems, that bar just protects you. And it's just, you know, you're in a more comfortable.
It's a haven. Like, it wasn't until I got sober that I actually started loving bartending again. You know, like I just felt like, I felt like I had to play a role. You know, or that my friends wouldn't like me if they didn't, you know, like, you know, because you're, you know, when I'm drinking, I'm a little bit more relaxed. I give a fuck a lot less than I do give a fuck now. I give a fuck now, which is, you know, pretty low bar, but still, you know, you test things, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're connecting with people, you know, and to me, I don't want to say it's fake, but it's just, it wasn't real. You know, so it's not like I really like, you know, like I look at my Facebook and like, you know, it's not like I really have 5,000 friends, you know, like I have like maybe 15, you know, people that like I really give a shit about everybody else. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever the hell. Nah.
So I want you to talk about, you know, what you said, kind of struck me a little bit, how you said, you know, as the success or the accolades or the recognition started coming. Again, you know, because my thing is, how do we educate and share some real stuff, right? Some real shit to the up and coming bartender that is winning competitions, that is getting recognition. I think you touched on something that, I mean, it's definitely something that we should mention. As all these things are coming out and all these recognition starts building, you then get a little bit more pressure to be more social, to be who the articles, like, what was it? You know, you wanted to be that, you know, that person, the rock star that the articles are you know, talking about, or what was that pressure?
Well, when I first started bartending, it was just like the birth or like the, you know, the genuine renaissance of what was happening in New York. So there may be like 4 bars. You know, and all of us knew each other. We were all friends, and there was no real competition. You know what I mean? Like Death & Co. I can call them off the top of my head. Employees Only, Death & Co., Pegu Club, Flatiron, you know, and Milk and Honey. How am I forgetting Milk and Honey? And all of us knew each other. And we were just trying to get people to stop drinking vodka. And we would see like you know, classics we take for granted now, you know what I mean? Like in aviation, you're like, hey, have you heard of this fucking cocktail? Like, let's try egg whites. You know, it's like, oh wow, there's this thing called the cold draft machine. Oh, cool. Look at these cubes. You know? And it's like progression where it's just like, okay, then you read the books, then you start having debates. And then of course, like I remember going to the second or third ever Tales. Yeah, I'm old as fuck, bro. And this was a small event, you know, it was like you were in a room, like, you know, like you'd be in a room with like guys like Robert Hess and Wandrich and Dale, you know, and they'd be at your bar, you know what I mean? And you'd fucking talk about ideas. And now it's like these huge seminars.
Right.
And how do I say it? I always feel that now, me personally, not back then, but me personally now, where it's just like a lot of this recognition can be toxic. Like these awards, you know, they're like poison apples. You know, like you get one and then all of a sudden everybody wants a piece of you. And then you have to like say things that,
right.
You know what I mean? Or like you have to follow trends or you have to feel all this pressure. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it kind of just stopped being like this creative thing. Where you could just do cool shit and just try it out. You know, now you do something and it's like, you know, like whose idea did you take from there? It just gets fucking weird. Yeah. You know, or like which brand you're going to piss off. Right. You know, and now I'm like, yeah, like now I've reached a point where it's just like it's almost very rigid rules for myself on like where I involve myself with things. So I'm like, if it doesn't improve the lives of people, not just bartenders, if it doesn't improve the lives of people, in a way that I think, you know what I mean, helps them, then I just don't fucking do it. So like if you're a young bartender and you're like really worried about this cocktail comp or like this event, what if I don't go to this event? Nobody gives a fuck, man. You know, like it's like that weird have you ever seen that Bob Marley video where just like riches, just like when he talks about riches, it's like riches, just like what kind of riches?
I think they asked him, are you rich?
Are you rich? He's like, what do you define as riches? Right. You know? And like financially, I wouldn't say I'm successful, you know, but like in terms of riches, you know what I mean? I have a lot of people that I've helped, a lot of people that have helped me. I have relationships that matter to me. I have a relationship with most importantly, I have a relationship with my family again. Right. You know, and I think young bartenders really, you know what I mean? They think they suck in this industry. And I'm like, bro, like you have a beautiful family. Right. Your wife, your husband, you know what I mean, completely supports you. You know what I mean? You are in great health. You know, like you take care of yourself. You're doing all these things and still you think you're failing, you know? Whereas I see so many people who would be considered successful and I look, I'm just like, yo, man, like you ain't gonna be walking the earth much longer, bro. Like I know how you get down. You know, that's like this is not how you want to live your life. Right. Like
and you know what, again, this is why I wanted to touch on that because listen, all these accolades and the articles written and all these things, you know, again, as professionals, I feel that at a certain point, like that's kind of what we want to go after. Like especially going, you know, earlier in our professional career, you want, and I've talked about this a few times, you want to prove yourself not only to others, but to yourself too. Yeah. But for you to be self-aware and understand that, to your point, some of the things can be toxic. So if they change who you are in a core, if you change your fundamental values and you have to pretend to be somebody that you're not, it's not something that you should be like, you know, putting on a pedestal kind of thing.
It's like, you know, I'm having problems with that word pretend, not that you used it. It's more like, I don't even think people are aware of it. You know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, we're so all like whenever, like we're in the hospitality industry, you know what I mean? Like regardless if we're having a good day, a bad day, you know what I mean? Like providing, you know, hospitality to people requires a certain degree of, you know, professionalism. True. You know, it's not being fake, you know what I'm saying? But like, and I'm not like if I'm having a tough day, you know what I mean? Table doesn't want to fucking know that. No, nobody wants to fucking know that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to you have to build a resolve. And sometimes, you know what I mean? Being vulnerable or like recognizing that like, yo, man, like when I see cats, like now, like I would say the best thing being sober or like being old, I don't know which one it is. When I see motherfuckers saying like, I worked 70 hours last week, and I'm just like, you stupid. You know, you stupid. Hey, like, you know, like at Ma, it's just like, oh, you know, who wants to be first cut? I'm like, me, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do at that time? You know what I mean? Right. I'll probably go for a run, maybe do some yoga, maybe read. Right. You know, like do other things, you know, that like, you know, give richness to your life. Correct. Whereas just like I understand, like if, you know, if you have a brand new opening, you know, it's like, okay, like, you know, this is going to be my life for a while. But like my goal, like, you know, like if someone tells me like, yo, I slept 12 hours, I give them a fucking high five. I'm like, that's dope. You are awesome. How the fuck?
12 hours? I don't know how anybody could do that.
I don't know how either, but I want to do that. Like, I'm like, you know, like if I had a choice between winning a cocktail comp and learning how to fucking sleep 12 hours normally, regularly, I'm like, bro, fuck this comp.
So let me ask you though, you know, just to be devil's advocate, because I'm not a good sleeper, right? Like I'm not. On Sundays, the family takes a nap. And I've tried to sit there and just, you know, lay there, but after 30 minutes, my brain is just like something just comes up, right? So I think at the end of the day is give your body what your body needs, right? Like if your body needs 12 hours of sleep, then don't sacrifice, you know, that 2 hours that you're putting in extra at work to give your body or to take away from what your body needs
too, man.
Yeah,
man.
Like
a lot of people don't think about like, you know, like recovery in the true sense, where it's just like, yo, man, like I need to eat. I need to eat right. I need to eat better. You know, I need to sleep better. I need to like, you know, handle all the things outside of work. And that's basically, those are the things I work on the most, because after, like when people ask me if I miss New York, you know, and this is my hometown. I'm born and raised. I think I was joking before where it was just like, only I'm allowed to talk shit about New York. If anybody else does it, I'll smack you in your fucking face, you know? But like, do I miss home? You know, yes and no, but mainly no. Every time I miss home, I just look at my bank account, I look at my huge apartment,
the space that
look
you
at
have.
the 70 fucking degrees in fucking February, you know? And I'm like, you know what? Like, you know, I look, and it's just like my life has so many different things now that like I just couldn't do there.
Right.
You know, you can fix a lot of the fucking problems you have in your life if you can get sunshine every day and ameliorate financial stress.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, man, Vegas is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to fucking find out about this place. Fuck them. You know?
Too late. There's how many thousands of Californians moving in every month?
You know, it's fucking, you know, this is a great city this is a great city, man. Just like,
I think so.
It's one of those places, if you can keep your demons in check, like, if you have problems with gambling, booze, drugs, or women, you're fucked.
Yeah.
If you freaking, you know what I mean? Like I had one of my boys move here, you know, and making like 600 fucking night. And then he'd go to the Rhino. I'm like, bro, Rhino is like a once a month, once or twice a month. You can't go there every day.
Every day.
And then complain that you're broke.
Right.
You know? Or like, you know, like I have another friend of mine who's just like, yeah, this is a really great place to party because it's like, it's accessible, but like, the beautiful thing about Vegas also is like not a lot of people realize that it's just like there are two sides to every coin. You know, like there is a heavy community of sobriety here. Like, you know, like I've never worked with so many bartenders who don't drink. I've never worked with so many servers, you know what I mean? Who understands it's like, yo, man, like this is like I grew up in this town. Like it was kind of like me when, you know, growing up in the Bronx, you know, seeing that like, you know, like you know, seeing how hard the tourists go here because they don't get to party all the time. We're just like, yo, we're surrounded by it all the time. We see it. We know exactly what happens when you go too hard.
Correct.
You know, and there's that respect. And I fucking love it, man. Like this city is fucking great.
Yeah.
If people talk shit about Vegas, I'm like, you shut the fuck up. You know, like it's kind of like with New York. Like, shut the fuck up. You know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a fucking idiot.
I think, you know, and something that we could touch on is, I mean, Vegas is a great city. And to your point, I mean, there's also another sort of layer. Obviously, you know, all these major key cities around the country, you know, you could have access to, you know, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, like you mentioned 24/7. But I feel like Vegas specifically, I think, has a bad rep because not necessarily from the locals, but I think it's everybody wants to have that Vegas story, right? And
it's kind of like New Yorkers who read Catcher in the Rye. They fucking come to New York and all of a sudden they all want to be Holden Caulfield.
Right.
Like, fuck out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they all like, you know, and like when I first moved to Vegas, Sam, I'm not even kidding you. I never fucking stepped on the Strip. I'd never seen the Strip. Like I always flew down here. I would crash at Neck's house. I would hang out with his family. Hang out with Neck is dope, you know, because just like, yo, he's born and raised Vegas and he's like, you know, he's You know, he's like us. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Like, nah, you know what I mean? We're going to fucking, and I got to see like everything outside of the strip. And I love the strip. I work on the strip. The strip is fucking, the strip is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But like you start feeling the community.
Right.
It's like when people go to New York, you know, and just like, I know motherfuckers that live in New York and have never been to the Bronx, never been to Staten Island, you know. And I'm like, you live in this city and there are 2 boroughs you've never fucking visited, you know, or don't even know.
Right.
Or, I'm like, come on, man, shut the fuck up. Like, you know, like,
right. There's a community out there.
There's a community out there. There are things here, you know what I mean? There are people that live here. There are things, you know, when people talk about Chinatown, I'm like, which one? You know, New York.
Oh, gotcha.
And there's like 9, you know. I mean, obviously, they're usually referring to the one in Manhattan, but I'm like, oh, the real one's in Flushing. But either way, like, you know, things like that where like, you know, and I'm like, oh, well, it's like, really? I'm like, you've never been to Queens? You know, like, except when you landed in the airport, you know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things.
It's true for most of us.
Vegas is like that, where it's like, you know, like when you start seeing the people off the strip and seeing the community, and it's just like, yeah, I've been surrounded by fucking great people.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that the tough thing where just like where people knock Vegas and the fucking thing that really pisses me off is when I hear it come from hospitality professionals, as if like, you know, it's like that weird elitist bullshit. And I'm just like, if I told you there was a city that has a strong middle class that is completely built around hospitality, where I'm telling you like a server, a bartender, a barback can own a home, live comfortably, raise a family, would you fucking knock it? And they would say no. I'm just like, why the fuck are you why the fuck are you knocking the only city in America that can actually claim that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what team are you on?
Right.
You know, check yourself. Because, like, I know what squad I'm on. You know what I mean? If I see, like, when I worked at fucking Herbs, my barback owned her house. And I was like, fuck you, man. That is incredible.
Right.
29 years old. Owns your fucking house.
That's amazing.
Bro, like, that shit ain't happening in New York. That ain't happening in San Fran. You know, but these are like, and this is a knock on the major cities, but like, you know, it's just like, oh man, that's fucking beautiful to see. Like, you know, this can happen here. You know, like you could like, and you can invest in your life in other ways. It's like, oh man, like, man.
So, and again, going back to
my Vegas commercial is done.
Yeah. So move to Vegas. We've done exactly what we didn't want to do. You know, having your demons in check, obviously having, you know, all these things accessible to you, you know, again, speaking to a young bartenders, to the young professionals, you know, what are some of the things that you feel that they should have that self-awareness, you know, again, because they may not necessarily understand that, you know, those accolades, the things that, you know, the articles, all these things that they're maybe obtaining may not necessarily be the best thing for them in the long run, right? So on the sobriety side, like, what do you think were some of the habits that sort of started the, you know, bad habits that you created?
God, I don't even know how to answer that. It's like, it's just like, this is just speaking for me, you know? Like, this is not like the entire industry does this. But like, I remember just like, I just remember how easy it was, you know, and then that little voice in my head that said like, who cares? You know, like figuring out new hangover cures, you know, like I give sobriety talks all around the country, you know, for young bartenders everywhere. And I start every one with just like, hi, my name is Giuseppe Gonzalez. I'm a recovering addict and I love, you know, and they start laughing and I'm just like, no, I love it. Like, I know exactly, like, I've never stopped loving it. I will never fucking not have, you know what I mean? Like, it's that thing you love that, you know, just like, but every time I think about it, you know what I mean? Some of the worst things that I've ever done in my life, you know what I mean? Worst things that I still carry shame with. Things that I never want to happen again. Things I've lost, you know, relationships, money, people, you know, like, you know, as you get older, you start seeing friends die. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's when things start changing perspective, or people that you're helping, and you see them fail again, and you know what I mean, and that hurts, you know. And it's weird that I still love it. I still fucking love it, and that's scary. That's something that I know can kill me at any time.
Right.
Can take away every good thing that I've done in the past 6 years of sobriety almost. And I still feel that way. That's a sickness, man. That's like, that's an act of insanity. It's insanity. There's no other way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's just like, and when I talk to young bartenders and they say that, no, not me. I'm just like, yo, man, like anybody, don't think
1,000%.
I grew up in a house. My father was my grandfather. You know what I mean? Like I literally lost my father to addiction. My grandfather was sober. Like he didn't drink because he struggled with it. Like I have my daughter who bartends. You know what I mean? I'm very clear with her. She's gone to AA meetings with me. I'm very clear with her. Like this runs in your family. Don't ever fucking think for a second that this is not a problem. This cannot be a problem.
Right.
Because, if there's one of the things I wish I'd never given you is this gene or whatever the fuck, keep it in mind. And I tell young bartenders that too. It's just like, yo, man, it's like, one quick word of advice, like easy one, just don't drink when you work. Mm-hmm. Make that a hard rule. Make that a good rule for life. If you work at a place that encourages you to drink at work, find a new place. Mm-hmm. It might suck, because money-wise, financial, but what you get back, will.
Right. Again, going back to what you said, what is wealth, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, what you're risking, is a lot greater than those dollars that you're gaining. Now, right, as you continue to bartend and continue your sobriety, right, what are some of the habits, do you go to events that, have how do you sort of maintain, obviously you talked about that discipline, but again, and it's not necessarily putting you on the spot or anything. My thing is, and I'll share one of mine, right? So I'm not sober, but I think the reason why I try to be as responsible as I possibly can is, in a weird way, I see that my 4-year-old son I am leading by example. Mm-hmm. So I want to set an example of professionalism, of work ethic, of, because as a father, I'm seeing that he reacts more to the things that I do than the things that I tell him. So leading by example is honestly my
And they're always watching,
pillar.
bro.
Oh, yeah.
Even
exactly.
when you think they're not paying attention.
So,
my daughter tells me shit sometimes that I used to do, and I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, I saw you do it. It's like nothing, not like drugs or anything like that, but like, like little mannerisms, like things that set me off. I'm just like, how the fuck? They're just like, oh, Poppy. It's like, Poppy, I know this is going to piss you off. I'm just like, how do you know that's going to piss me off? Just like, well, blah, blah. I'm just like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized, like, holy shit, she knows me maybe a little bit better than I know myself a little bit. That's scary.
So again, I want to lead by example. So some of the things that I do is, if I have early plans the next day or what, even when I was managing the nightlife, honestly, with in my previous role, ginger ale and lime, nobody cares what's in your glass, and if people are having to enjoy themselves, nobody asked me what I was drinking. Nobody, whatever. And if for whatever reason, somebody's doing shots and I'm just cheering with my ginger ale and lime, honestly, nobody ever said anything. So I think it was more of holding myself accountable and also having a vision. And again, just speaking for myself, having a vision of like, I am a very disciplined type of person. I have a schedule out for, weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. So having that sort of plan of, just like you said, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to make my bed, I'm going to have breakfast, I'm going to have oatmeal. I have the oatmeal sitting in the fridge, sort of, the overnight oats or what, again.
Fucking beautiful.
Right?
I love raw oatmeal. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, so yeah. So what are some of the things that you can share? And again, and the reason why I want you to share is because, listen, you're a fucking amazing bartender. You're extremely talented. I mean, you have all those check boxes that all the great bartenders have, and you're maintaining, what's best for you. So how do we teach a young bartender to keep those things in mind?
Here's some quick ones. I mean, obviously respect your relationship with alcohol. That's one. Like, keep it in mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if anything, try to keep track of how many times you feel drunk,
Sure.
or like maybe you have 2 or 3 drinks.
Right.
Keep that in mind. If you're constantly find yourself paying attention to it, then you're probably never going to fucking overindulge.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a good one.
it's like, that's one. I mean, I spend a lot of time, like I'm in full recovery, and these are things that took me years to fucking practice. I mean, I go to an AA meeting usually every day. I sponsor about 6 people, 5 people, who call me and just like, hey, what's up? Blah, blah. I'm struggling here. How's your day? Blah. Some people have long sobriety. Some people are brand new. So those are things I do actively, you know, with respect to my sobriety. But I also do a lot of other shit. Like I run. Like not a lot of people that, like, there are people that have seen me when I used to weigh 300 pounds and now I'm like 195 or something like that. And that's also a big part of like my life. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, I don't know. Like, I think that I think this works for any job, or just like you have to start looking at your health.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, another good thing about Vegas too, is just like, it's really easy to eat well and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I do corny shit, like, you know, like I do yoga once a week because I fucking love it. Even though I've
never gotten into it.
It's a good, like, I would say like, do something every day if you can. Or you're just in your head. In your head. So like for me, running, like I don't run with music. It can be meditating. Be in your head for an hour, like, you know, and a lot of people, when I say that, feel uncomfortable, like, you know, and that's kind of crazy, where it's just like, you cannot, you know what I mean, be in yourself for an hour without feeling anxiety,
right?
You know, and that can be anything. That can be yoga. That can, for me, you know, running is meditative. A lot for me, actually making my coffee in the morning is meditative, because I have like 5-10 different things that I do, you know, and I sit down, praying, you know, if you're spiritual, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, sit down and pray, you know, be here. Don't be on your computer. Don't be on social media. Don't be on this, you know. And a lot of things, you know, and you'll be able to work out a lot of things, like, you know, a lot of resentments you have towards people, you know, issues with feeling gratitude, where it's just like, yeah, I should be grateful for this. You know, like I wish a lot of people like struggle with that. I still struggle with it, where sometimes I feel like my life really sucks. And I look back and I'm like, no, man, like things don't suck. Things are actually pretty fucking perfect. Or the worst thing that can happen is sometimes where like I recognize things are perfect and I get this anxiety. Well, I guess it's going to fuck up now. You know what I mean? Like everything's going so well, you know what I mean? There's this big disaster, and then you just it manifests itself because I'm being negative about it. Yeah. You know, and when you spend an hour in your head, you know, like sometimes it's even longer. Like, you know, like I like 2 years ago, I lost my 3rd business. And it was one of those things where like I took myself off social media. I didn't talk about it with anyone. And within 2 days, I literally packed all my things and I moved to Vegas. I went to crash at Next House, you know, because I wanted to be around somebody I trusted completely. And people phone going off the hook, and I was just like, yo, man, right now, I just need to be in my head. I need to process these emotions. I don't want to say things I don't mean. I don't want to feel rage. I need to look at this as an opportunity, you know, and that took me being able to do that and still being able to do it, where just like if something traumatic happens or something difficult or something, it's just like, all right, bet, like I'm going to need to practice patience here, you know, and not just react, and actually take assessment of a situation. You know what I mean? That's life changing. Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? I work on that constantly, and I'm appreciative for that. And I wish it was something, you know what I mean, I could teach somebody. You know, like I don't know, at the point where I realized just like, yeah, I don't panic. Right. You know, like I talked a lot about patience and fortitude, but that takes a lot of fucking work. And yeah, sometimes I fail. Sometimes I fail hard. Sometimes, like the other day, you know, somebody sent me a text and I snapped at them, and then within 5 minutes later, I was like, fuck, You know, like, I'm sorry. That's misdirected anger. And being able to process it, recognize it, apologize, you know what I mean? And not only apologize, what can I do? Like, you know, let me buy you a coffee. You know what I mean? But being able to do that, you know, and that's worth, like,
right.
I could be a millionaire now, but like, I'm looking and I'm just like, oh man, like, you know what I mean? That would have affected me, you know? And now it's like, it's chill, like, whatever the hell. Or not apologizing to people too, fake apologies too, where I'm just like straight up, like, you know, like the whole politics. Like sometimes when I feel like people shame other people on bullshit, I just call them out real quick. It's like, yo, that shame bullshit doesn't work. You know, it's like, oh man, you know, I mean, just like, oh, well, you know, like I work 6 shifts this week. And just like, you know, and this isn't work related. I'm just I'm trying to use like a young bartender bullshit. Because like, we're just like, you know, like, I'm like, yeah, like, oh, cool. You know, you did that. Like, you should maybe work less. Like, I don't know. Or like, hey, like I did this. Or like, I'm in this comp and I finished here. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, like, cool. Like, but like.
And can I say something? I feel that as a society, you know, I think things are changing. I do see it that way. But as a society, it's, again, to your point, it's very external, right? Where, oh, you know, so-and-so started here. He's now here. Look at all these things that he's getting, all these plates on his wall. But how is that person doing internally? And, you know, and these are all peers that we care about. So I think it also, like, I've had some real conversations with my peers, you know, again, to your point, in this industry, we touch so many people, but how many people do you really connect with? And, you know, but it starts with yourself. So I've had a lot of great conversations with peers about, you know, real shit. Right. And it's crazy crazy and humbling to see how many challenges, how many, you know, how people, the struggles that people that we look up to, or, you know, whatever it is, are going through it. And it makes it a very human interaction. So, you know, again, for the focus of the podcast, what I want to share to the young and up and coming bartenders is, yes, we work in an amazing industry, right? I mean, hospitality, you get to meet people from all over the world. If you work hard and you apply yourself, there's all these things that it can get you. With that being said, the product that we're representing, that we're serving to others, is not a product that should be taken lightly. It's a product that you should, like you said, you should respect. Yeah. You should keep in check, because it's a celebratory thing, great. But again, aside from Sam, the, you know, brand ambassador, Sam, the whatever it is, there's a 70% of my life, of my family, my hobbies, my health, you know, my sort of personal and internal sort of thing that I have that I also want to focus on, right? Yeah. I think a lot of times we allow our profession to unbalance that sort of our life and take over 70% instead of 30. And again,
more like 90%.
Well, yeah, anyway. Depending on, yeah. So again, to that bartender, I say, keep it in mind, keep a responsible sort of gauge on, you know, what you're doing. Also,
I would say also that, like, I see things that brands are doing. I shit on a lot of brands. I don't want to say shit. Yeah, I shit on them.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's this awakening, and it just, like, you know, and of course, like, you know, I don't really believe that, you know what I mean? There's a sense of goodwill or help. It's just, like, I've noticed that, like, brands are actually starting to recognize, just like, all right, bet, like, you know what I mean? We need to invest in bartender wellness, you know? Like Bacardi has that thing with, like, you know, the rum shakers, you know, which I think is fucking great, where it's like, it's a dance troupe.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea how Bacardi makes money off this. You know, I don't think Bacardi has any idea how they make money off it. But they do that. Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, you got a bunch of bartenders who come in and they learn to dance to different music. And I'm obviously, you know what I mean? And one I'm involved with, which is bartender boxing, which I've been involved with for years.
Oh, I didn't know you were involved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was there I don't know, a couple of weeks back, workout here.
Oh, you
in
were?
Vegas, yeah.
Oh, rock on. Come by whenever, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Well, I just had I missed the first week and a half, 2 weeks. I had my wisdom teeth pulled. That was fucking great.
So then maybe that's when it was. Yeah.
But like, you know, and I have no idea, you know what I mean, how Gonzalez does it, you know, like, but like, I always think that when I start seeing events that actually like, okay, like I think everybody should pick up a martial art, like, you know, or like some kind of sport or something.
Discipline.
It teaches you discipline. You start eating better. You know what I mean? You're part of community, you know, which I think, you know, like, especially one of the big things when I see people drinking too much, it's just like they don't realize how isolating drinking is, you know, or it's like you're only around the same set of people. And you're in the same places at the same time. And just like, you know, and like the idea of waking up early, you know what I mean, to, you know, go for a run or like make that phone call or handle any kind of personal shit, you know, starts getting less and less and less likely. And I fucking love it because you start learning things, you know, and it's not like down your fucking throat. It's just like, okay, bet, man, we're going to fucking, you know, I'm going to just go to the gym. Fucking, you see other people. It's like, all right, bet, you ask questions, you know, you start, and I see bartenders, because like I get hit up like maybe like 7 to 10 times a week by somebody who says, just like, I'm struggling, you know, or something really dire. Just like, I think I want to kill myself, or like, hey, like, I don't know. I don't think I can ever stop this. And that they're scared. And I know they're scared because I was scared. And it feels impossible. And I'm like, all right, there's ways to manage that. And the one thing I respect about brands that they're doing now, or it's just like, you know, they understand, you know, the little demon in the house. And they also understand that, like, you know, these people, you know what I mean, help us and we need to help them.
Correct.
And now, you know, it's symbiotic.
Yeah.
And seeing that investment, you know, I would like to see more of that. So like when I see like events where it's just like, hey, blah, let's all get fucked up. I'm like, that's stupid. Tails. Anyway, you know, where it's like one of those things where it's just like, oh man, I'd like to see more investment like that. Yeah. Because just like you I think there's a few organizations that actually focus, like Healthy Hospo, you know, does things too. But I read an article the other day, something about healthy cocktails, and I was like, yeah, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, just because you fucking put spirulina in a fucking cocktail does not fucking make it healthy. Right. You know? Yeah. Like, let's not perpetuate that myth. No. And you know, like, I know I'm in my little industry bubble, you know what I mean? But when I work with brand ambassadors, you know, like, none of them sell shit. Like, you know what I mean? So like, if you come to me and you're like, yo, Joey, I want you to fucking taste something, you know what I mean? Like, Sam, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Whistlepig's fucking perfect. You know, like, there's no, like, you know, like, it's not like I'm just like, hey, try this freaking, you know, abalone scented vodka that I'm trying to pish on you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're surrounded by people who sell good things. You know what I mean? So it's just like, no, I agree. You know what I mean? So it's just like, all right, bet. Like, you know, it's just like, what what other kind of relationship can you develop with the brand? True. You know, or it's just like, all right, what else are you doing? Because you all sell good shit, you know? Like, yeah.
Well, and, you know, I think one thing that I want to call out is the reason why I started this podcast was because I was getting DMs from bartenders saying, hey, man, I'm interested in getting, you know, how do I get to your role? Like, well, you know, what do you want to do? You know, do you want to go on the distributor side? Do you want to go blah, blah? And they were like, well, no, like, brand ambassador, like, you know, go out to drink.
I want to live that life. I want that fucking, you know, I want that corporate card, not realizing, like, come on, man.
So I made it to share the real sort of expectations, the real life that we live. And, you know, with that being said, again, this episode is so these guys know that we're all in this industry together. And to your point, I mean, hey, if you're struggling with consumption, you're not alone. Yeah. Like, just know that, because that was an eye opener for me, that there was people, bartenders that, you know, I respect, and people that you know, there were some that I didn't know, right? Like, that just sort of, you know, from whatever city. But others that I really thought understood the business, that actually had no idea the different layers or how that works, or how is it that this feature and
there's a 3-tier system here too, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is.
How trying to explain that to a young buck, you know, or like KPIs or anything like that.
Yeah. So they didn't understand that,
or like being the brand ambassador, and then you have to work with a distributor, and then sometimes you know what I mean. Like they're a little detailed. Like I'm not in that world, but like you hold enough meetings where it's just like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
I'm about to call you out right now, real quick.
Sure.
Because when you asked me to do this, I was like, I think the first thing I told you is like, yes, I'm only going to do it because you're Latino, you know, and you thought I was kidding, and I wasn't. And it has nothing to do with just like when I see, when I see a Latino person or a person of color,
right?
You know, like Vance Henderson is another person, you know what I mean? Like if Vance asks me to do anything, I'm like, yes, you know, like, you know, when I see a black person or a Latino person, you know what I mean, selling whiskey, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, that's what's up, you know, like, it's just like, we need, like, so many of us work in the back of the house, and it's kind of like where they're comfortable with us.
Right.
You know, and like when I first started, I remember like, you know, looking for jobs anywhere. My first boss was Julie Reiner, and people were like, how did you get that job? It's like, I showed up every fucking day and to every fucking place, certain bars that would never hire me because, you know, I looked like the bar back. You know, they're used to seeing that. That's what the guest is used to seeing.
Correct.
You know, and I was lucky enough to have a lesbian, you know, from Hawaii, who moved to New York. We basically had the same struggle where she did not look like, you know, what they expected. Right. You know what I mean? Who gave me that opportunity. You know, or just like, you need to work with people outside their box. So when you freaking hit me, I was just like, yeah, man. Like, you know, like I remember the first time I saw you, I was just like, my man, I am so underdressed every time I'm around you. I'm like, I really need to invest in my clothing, but I'm never going to do that. But like, you know, there's a degree of professionalism, or just like, all right, bet, like, you know, like just like changing people's minds, just like how you know, like, you know, neck is another example, you know, like, I don't know how many times, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like you see neck and then you see herbs, and then like people can't make the connection, whereas we can. Right. It's like, yeah, like, of course. Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, like, not all of us look like Vatos Locos, bro. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like changing people's minds, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm going to see it in my lifetime or our lifetime, but it's slow, like changing, like, you know, where it's like one of those things where just like when you're hosting a podcast, just like, yeah, my man, I got this. Like, I got you.
Yeah. Well, you know? And you know what? The thing is, it's really out of like hosting it out of gratitude, because again, you know, I want to share the real stuff that we go through. I want to share the real challenges. And I also, like, you know, to finish what you were saying, honestly, on the whiskey side, I've never either noticed, or I'm too naive to see that, you know, people don't expect the Mexican to sell, you know, like I haven't, you know, it hasn't hit me when somebody says that. And I've hosted, you know, events from all over my region. One thing I do want to, on the Latino side, because I have to say it, is anytime that I'm so connected to my culture, that anytime, you know, I get to dine in some of the, you know, best establishments, right? Some of these, I love going to restaurants with an open kitchen, because it keeps me humble, because I see the name at the door. I see the name that they have up there. And when I look at that open kitchen, 90% of those people,
it's us, bro.
They are me. You know, they are me. And, you know, I read something.
Like if that, like I remind myself constantly, there is no difference between me and them. No, there was no difference between them and my grandfather,
right?
Who is to me the most important, like the most exceptional human I'm lucky enough to have had him in my life. You know, he would never, you know, I joke with people, because it's like my grandfather, I think, secretly wanted to be Mexican. I don't fucking know. It was always Pedro Infante. Like, yo, nice. I grew up thinking Pedro Infante was Puerto Rican.
Okay.
Because it was in the house all day. And it wasn't until years later. It's like, yo, he's Mexican, really? Yeah. It's like, also Cantinflas too?
Yeah. Therefore, like the name of the cocktail, right?
Yeah.
Because of the Infante. So yeah, I mean, you know, another fun fact, since we're going the Latino sort of hole, right? My mom was a maid at Circus, and now when I travel, I do not want to leave a messy room. I try to just, you know, I'm there most of the time. It's a night, or, you know, 2 days or whatever it is, because again, like I see the workers, behind the kitchen. I mean, they're me. They're my uncle. They're my, same thing with the, maids at whatever hotel that I'm staying at. Arizona was most recent. It's like they are me. We're the same, and we're obviously growing as a culture. But also, again, bringing it back to this podcast is, I mean, we can also dive into what our culture does for drinking and what I am doing to change that as well, because the way that, Caucasians look at drinking is not like, to us, my dad, an alcoholic, Friday night, I mean, he was getting drunk. Like, it wasn't even, so again, we need to change that. But I think in my humble opinion, the first sort of step into changing that is to talking about it. It's to saying, by the way, like there's not this, elephant in the room. We're fucking going to talk about that elephant because we feel that it's important for all these guys to take that into consideration.
I think it's important for everybody to always realize just like the easiest way to change people's minds, also the toughest one, is just like constant excellence. Where it's just like, oh, like I don't really get, like we don't really necessarily always get a second opportunity to like change people's minds. So you always have to be dope the first time. So, I recognize that. Like, I've been lucky enough to be head bartender at some of the best bars on earth, and it had nothing to do with the fact, had nothing to do with me, like, kissing ass or like stabbing people in the back. I just outworked you. Not the smartest guy in the room, but like I will fucking outwork you. I'm just like, all right, bet. Who wants today off? All right, cool. All right. Oh, you need that done? Okay, I'll do it. Or like showing up, something as simple as just like restocking the liquor room, doing things that nobody else thinks is noticing. There's always somebody fucking paying attention.
For sure.
And then, and if you're lucky enough to work in a meritocracy where it's just like, all right, bet, like I work the hardest, like I deserve this. Or I'm not even the hardest. I work the smartest,
Yeah, because there's a difference for sure.
There is a difference.
And again, that's something that I've learned through my time in the industry too, because I'm a hard worker. Like, my dad, something that I wanted to share is he and my grandfather really taught me work ethic, right? Because again, going back to what I said about Theo, is they led by example. They were such hard workers that in order for me to be proud of myself and make them proud, I felt like I wanted to work just as hard as they did. Saturdays, like, there was always something that could have been fixed around the house. Something that if everything was right, if nothing was leaking, we're going to make something better.
Word.
And now, funny enough, right? Full circle, the visits to Home Depot with Theo, man, they are like, what's crazy, and I'm going to see my dad later on today. I'll actually I'll ask him, like, I wonder if he felt just as, because Theo going with me does more for me than it does for Theo, So, I mean, to your point, on again, just wrapping everything up, I feel that we should be self-aware of the responsibilities that we have. It's a great industry. Again, we represent some of the most amazing brands with great brand stories, and there was a vision behind it.
This is the best job on earth. This is literally, like, I just look at it like I look at it and I'm like, wow, like after 23 years, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm healthy. I'm able to do certain things. You know what I mean? I'm surrounded by people who eat in the best restaurants on the fucking planet. Like, it's fucking great, it's like, but like, don't let it consume you.
Correct.
Don't, Boom. And just keep in mind that, like, at any moment, this is like,
correct.
This job can fucking become a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, as I felt it was very important for me to share this because I'm teaching, young and up and coming bartenders, industry professionals, the roles to understand the business, how to obtain a role in the liquor industry and, supplier. But with that comes the responsibility of me also sharing, by the way, when you get in this role, if that's what you choose, you have to keep, your shit in check, because if not, it could also ruin your life, right? Listen, there's so many things that I'm grateful for, but to your point, I am just consistently, careful about how do I consume the amount of the amount that I consume. And also know that, we're all in this together. Just like we said earlier, you can reach out to your peers. You can reach out to, there's others like you. If you have those real conversations, if you have those real relationships, even, if it's with 5, 10 people, the people that care for you the most, have some real conversations, but primarily with yourself.
I think a lot of young people don't really learn like professionalism, like professionalism, where just like, how do I say it? Just like there are bartenders I see who are just like always the clown, and always the guy or girl, you know what I mean, who's at the event, being ridiculous, or like that. Whereas, and the same with the bar, with the ambassador, who's just like, who's part of the party,
right? You
know what I mean? Who's like, who is the part, who's thinks there is a party, where it's just like, I've always had better relations. I always treat like I have a few favorite bread ambassadors, like, a guy like Jim Ryan. He used to be the global ambassador for Hendrix. And with Jimmy, it was like, like when it was time to work, it was work.
Right.
And you just sit, and when I had the tough questions, he was able to answer it. Even questions that like, he wasn't, as a global ambassador, was able to answer like, all his distributor bullshit in every fucking city in America. That's not part of his fucking job.
Right.
Just like, oh, okay. Like, where does it work here? Do you know the price here? So I can get that for you right now. Bam. And then he would connect me here and blah. Like, like I always, maybe the professionalism is the wrong word. Like, I always feel like the best people are the people who can unfuck things very quickly.
Okay.
People always have the answer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like one of the main reasons I always got head bartender was just not because I would fucking go down the list of everything I did that week and remind my boss, which fucking drives people crazy. Where it's just like, all right, you're keeping score. It was just like, literally I would just they'd be like, just like, Joe, like when they call you and just like, is everything all right? It's like, yeah. It's just like, you haven't called me. It's just like, oh, well, when I call you, there's a problem. That's why I didn't call you.
Yeah.
I didn't give, like to me, it's like, that those are the best people. Where it's just like, oh, wow. Like, like,
well, I mean, you
never have to interact with them because they're on top of their shit.
Yeah. Yeah. People you can rely on, people that have the knowledge and experience to make, that, decision that's going to do better for the business.
Because if you think your boss isn't paying attention, they're paying attention.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And obviously there are situations that like where you're just like things are just unfair and like you're dealing with a piece of shit boss, but like there are ways around that,
right?
But like I always feel like I've always valued people, you know what I mean, who like when I see if someone's like. There are people that when they call you, you pick up immediately. And there are people when they call you, you just ignore it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas
I never do that.
Yes. Whereas just like if I have somebody that, like if you're one of those people that like, someone always answers your call, they know it's like important. They're just like, I'm not wasting your time, or there's an opportunity here, or there's something I need to talk to you about. Or there are people fucking call you all the time. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, okay. Okay, great. You clean the fucking walk-in. Cool. Tell me the other, like, okay. Like, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I digress. Yeah, we're way over time, bro.
8 minutes here.
That's your bad.
I'm gonna have to edit. I'm gonna have to edit something out.
Okay, cool.
It'll probably be your accolades.
Okay, that'll perfect. I fucking hate them.
Listen, thank you very much for being here and sharing your story, sharing your journey and your struggles. Where can people find you on social if you want to be found?
Oh, fuck. Just Giuseppe Gonzalez, man. I have blue check marks everywhere, bro. For some reason, people like hearing my bullshit. I never talk about drinks unless they're pumpkin spice cocktails, which I think are stupid. Which are fucking the worst thing that's ever happened to us.
All right.
That's me being dramatic. Yeah, I mean, I bartend at Mott 32. I'm working on a separate project now. I don't know when this is airing. Hopefully that'll be dope. You can find me at the gym at City Boxing in Vegas.
Yeah, killer workout.
It's fucking great. Yeah. Oh my God. Vegas is the best city, especially if you love boxing.
Yeah.
God, I bartend at Mott 32. Best job I've ever fucking had. So this city's so dope.
Awesome.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sounding corny right now.
Thank you very much for being here, bro.
All right, fuck off. Love you.